Oh, wow. No, nobody has said that.
Really? That's sorry.
I have seen Nemo, but it's been a long time.
Can we play it?
Roll the
Side-by-side comparison.
Maybe later. Okay. Yesterday we were talking about privatizing Social Security, and we were about to get into a bunch of math in government class, which of course is cross-curricular learning. Okay, which we'll do a lot of in this class. Okay? But anyhow, I went ahead and found this cool website. I may pull it up and show you something here in a minute. But anyhow, where you can do compound interest. Okay, so you start with how much money you start with, invest. You know, like if you have $2,000, you're gonna put down. In this case, we started with zero. Okay, and so I went through this, and this is at a 6% compound interest rate for 5-year increments. Okay, because remember, we need $1,300 for grandma, and we can't take away what she's getting, right? So we increased taxes a little bit. We started with $30. Okay, so after 5 years, you've got $2,100, which barely covers 2 months for grandma. Okay, but we're going to go ahead and take $50 out each month the next 5 years. So we're going to have to cut. We're going to cut this a little bit because grandma's been saving too for 5 years. So if retirement, if you were 62 when this started, you're now 67, okay, and you've got 2,300 extra bucks in your account. Okay, does that make sense? Because it's been 5 years. Okay, so we're going to cut this a little bit to say 1,250, okay, because you've got this little nest egg, okay. And so now we're going to take $50 out each month for your own account. Okay? It's a month times 12 times 5 years with compound interest, you're up to 6,000. Okay? So if you were 57 when this started, okay? Now you're 67 and you've got $6,000. Okay? Which will cover some of your expenses while you're in retirement. We're going to cut this down even more, okay, to say $1,200, maybe even a little more, okay? And now you're putting in $75 a month, okay? Compound interest, 12 months a year, 5 years, and you're up to $13,000, okay? So we're going to cut grandma down to $1,050, okay? Now you're going to put $100 a month in for 5 years for 12 months, and this continues. And, you know, $25 increments up to 45 years, or $50 increments, depending how you do it, okay? At year 45, we're up to putting $250 in a month. Okay, remember, originally, I'm the average guy, and I was putting in $300 a month to go towards grandma, right? Everybody's with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so now by year 45, you got $223,000. Okay, now that today is not enough money to retire on. Okay, but while I say this, if you look up privatizing Social Security online, you can find different things, usually scare tactics. But generally, you're going to put in more than $30 into this account. I mean, you're going to take some extra money that you made that month and add to it. You know what I mean? Or you may start with $2,000 and then keep adding on to that. Okay, so this is your investment account. You cannot spend it. You cannot get into this money until you're 62 or 67, just like Social Security today. So it's government mandated savings account. Yeah. Okay, Social Security is not transferable today except between spouses. So like I told you the other day, my wife's Social Security check will be bigger than mine. So like if she dies before I do, I can choose between mine or hers. Okay. If mine was bigger and I died first, she could choose mine over hers. But that's the only transfer. You cannot transfer this to kids. Okay. But if it was a privatized system, this would be something you could will to your trust, your estate, whatever, to your kids. Okay, which makes the whole country wealthier. Okay, Now, so can this work? At 50 years, it's 300,000. Okay. Now, typically today, if you were to retire at 62, 65, and you may live for 30 more years, make it to 95. Okay. How much money do you need to have saved? Say there was no Social Security. How much money would you want to have to retire? Yeah. At least $1 million. You're going to want at least $1 million saved. Now, of course, a lot's going to depend on what you do when you're older. Like, are you going to travel? Are you going to build your dream house? What are you going to do when you're older? Are you going to golf every day? Okay, if you don't do a lot, you don't spend a lot. You know what I mean? So you don't need as much savings. Okay? Yeah.
So why is it not like this now?
Third rail of politics. Now, let me tell you the story. George W. Bush ran for president in 2000. Okay? He ran for president saying he'd like to privatize Social Security. He was elected. And in 2000, the Republicans, his party, controlled both houses of Congress. They could have passed it. Bush went to Congress and said, hey, all right, we got a chance to fix this Social Security system. Let's do it. Republicans are like, no. I don't want to lose my job. Guys, they actually, and you can look this up, the Democrats ran an ad against George Bush in 2000 of him, it was a cartoon, of him pushing an old lady in a wheelchair off a cliff, saying Bush is going to privatize Social Security. They told stories about how people, that didn't have much money were, instead of, you got money for prescription drugs, you got money for food. So they ran a commercial about this woman that bought cat food to eat because it was cheaper, so she could buy her prescription drugs. They're going to scare old people to death if you try and do this. Now, young people like yourself, you look at this, you're like, this is a much better system. Okay, but if you're my age, somebody says they're going to start privatizing Social Security, you're like, whoa. Now, this way of privatizing it, the only thing it did was raise taxes a little bit. Okay? There's political will to do that. If you can convince grandma that she's not going to lose her benefits, you may have a fighting chance to do something like that. Now, I don't use Chile, the country Chile, as an example for much. Okay, I mean, like, who knows anything about Chile, right? Well, they had a dictator there. His name was Pinochet. He instituted this. Okay? And prior to 2008, when the whole freaking, the Great Recession, this was actually working very well in Chile. Okay? I don't know, guys. 2037. In 2037, they're going to either have to raise the retirement age, increase taxes, change the mean testing. Remember the means testing, okay? Which is not really fair, but it's easy to go after rich people. So you have to do one of those things to make Social Security solvent so that you guys get it. Okay, that's a good question. Thank you. So you get to decide where you put your money, right? So this year, you got to save it. Now, you can stick it under the mattress. Okay, it's not going to grow. If you're afraid, now when you're young, guys, you can incur risk because you have a lot of time to make up for any failures you have earlier. As you get older, you want less risk, right? So this would be invested most likely in the stock market, in the mutual funds, stuff like that, like you do with your 401k. Everybody knows what a 401k is? If you ever get offered a job that has a 401k, do it. Take it, okay? Now, they're gonna take some money out of your check, but the company's gonna match it up to like 5 or 6% of your check. So it's like free money on top of your salary. It's a benefit, okay? Because we used to have pensions in this country. But like if you went to work for a company like Bishop Carroll, okay, I went to work for the diocese, and then when I retired, I'd still get a check every month until I died. If you work for the state of Kansas, if you're a school teacher in the state of Kansas, you have what's called capers. If you're a cop, okay, if you work for the city, if you work for the state, if you're a state trooper, you have capers. Heard of this? Okay, capers is a pension. So when you retire from the state after teaching a certain number of years, you get a check every month for the rest of your life. Usually that check's about 60% of what you made your last year of working. So Mr. Kennedy, he's doing what's called double dipping. He's retired, he's receiving pension from the state of Kansas, and he's getting paid to teach here. So he's rolling in the dough. And guys, Bishop Carroll gets a lot of double dippers over the years that I've been teaching here. Get retired teachers from the public schools. They're like, man, this place is easy to teach at. You know what I mean? And it's good. So they come, and we have experienced teachers that come in and are willing to work for less because they're getting a check from the government every month from their pension. A lot of businesses used to have pensions. If you can find a job that they have a pension, get it. Okay. My wife, Coke Industries, she has a pension through Coke. Okay, she had a pension at her old job in Louisiana. I don't think the new hires at Coke are getting pensions. Now, what he did to this point is good. It's still there. I mean, they're not, you just, yeah. Because it's so expensive. Now, what Coke does is a 401k and a pension. And those people know how to run a 401k. You know what I mean? Like the returns on their money, way better than the returns on our money at the diocese. They don't know how to run the freaking pension, the 401k. I've been here 23 years now. My 401k, I mean, I have to work, 15 more years, which I'm not going to do unless I want to. Okay. But I can't retire on what I have in my 401k. Okay, not yet, not even close. Now, if you had Social Security, to what I have on my 401k, I mean, I can, maybe have a small apartment and not do anything and be okay. Okay, but you don't have health insurance. You got to buy health insurance. So, yeah. So I don't know, guys. This is an interesting thing. Let me just pull this up for you. I know I'm wasting time, but this is practical stuff for you guys. And you guys are all smart, so you have the ability to go out and, kind of choose what you want to study and find, get a degree in something that you can get a job with, right? You want to get a degree, you get a job?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you may be really interested in gender studies, but the only job you can find is teaching gender studies. So you'll have to replace your teacher that's teaching it where you're at. You could. Okay, so this is this website I was talking about, okay? And I got up to 322,000, okay? So let me show you something here real quick, okay? Let's say when you guys graduate from college, you get your first good job, okay? What you're gonna do is you're gonna save a couple $1,000s, okay? Save $2,000, $2,500. You're gonna invest it, okay? And this is like in a Roth IRA, individual retirement account, okay? Which is good because when you get the money out with a Roth IRA, you don't have to pay taxes on the gains, Okay, so this goes into Roth IRA. You got, let's say, $2,500. Start with that. Okay. Now you're going to contribute. Let's go to $200 a month. Is this a month? Okay, $200 a month, which is how much a year? $2,400 a month or a year, right? You're putting towards your retirement. $2,400 a year. Okay. Length of time, you're gonna do 40 years. So let's go from the age of 22 to 62. Okay. 40 years. Okay. Now, the stock market throughout its history has gone up between 6 and 12%. When you go to a financial advisor, usually the number they're going to use is 6%. Okay, that's kind of a safe number on the return on investments in the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, the S&P. Okay, some years are better, some years are worse. There's a variable of 2, so it could be 4% or it could be 8% interest. Okay, I'm going to compound this monthly and calculate 40 years. $425,000. Okay, that's on the 6%. If you got the 8%, why is that there? Get out of my way. Okay. Why? I don't want to return to the top.
Just scroll down below.
Jeez, Maddie. All right, where are we at here?
758.
$758,000. Okay, that's $200 a month. Investing towards your future. Okay, at 6%, you have $425,000. That's pretty good. Okay, now if you can do more than that, $250 a month, watch what happens. Okay, you're 525, and if you get 8%, you're almost 933,000. Okay, which is almost $1 million. Okay, so that's where that's kind of your starting point. Okay, so 22 years old, you guys get in, invest, and then you just have that money taken out of your check each month. Direct deposit into your investments. Okay, usually those go in mutual funds, which are broad-based, so they're in a bunch of different types of funds, not just Coca-Cola or McDonald's or AT&T. It's spread out in a bunch of different companies. Okay, so it tends to follow the U.S. economy. All right, and then if Social Security is not there, you're fine. Okay, and with this kind of return, $1 million, you should be able to enjoy retirement. Because guys, while you're retired, you still have this money in there. It's going to continue to grow while you're retired. It's not like, all right, I'm taking all my money out, okay, and I have $900,000 to spend the rest of my life. No, you keep it in there, it keeps growing. Then you can give it to your kids. Hopefully your parents are doing that right now. For you. Or they could just give it all away, like Warren Buffett did. Like, he's not going to leave a bunch of money for his kids. He's one of the richest men in America. Right? Because what happens when you have a trust fund baby? Winds up going up their nose. Okay? Something like that. Hi.
Hi.
I love messing with people on that. All right. All right, enough. We got to go. We got to keep moving. Okay, so on to you guys decide on price. Hey, look, if the stock market crashes with this, we all go to hell in the handbasket together. That's the risk. If the country goes into depression, will it come out? Well, it did the last time. When you look at the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, look at the stock market since then. Holy crap. You know what I mean? I'm making money while I'm standing here talking to you, not from teaching, but from investments.
But how's it also like inflation going up?
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah. All right. So, you like privatizing Social Security? Say yes. You're like, it's too risky, Mr. Bright. Let's just fix the system we got. Say no.
The Fed at least knows what they're doing now.
Do that?
The Federal Reserve, they know a little bit more what they're doing now.
They're raising
Really?
rates.
Just printing.
In terms of once it crashes.
Oh. Yeah, well, if your rates are near zero, then you don't have much room to operate. Okay, number 11.
Printing money does not mean. No, that's gonna be the next crypto. So it's gonna be able to spell the 18
Okay. How much does it cost to educate one student at Northwest High School 1 year? It's not the parent. The government's paying for it through taxes.
$14,000.
10,000.
No, not food.
$14,000.
I would say about 20.
Roughly $13,000 per student per year. Okay? So if Northwest has 1,200 students, okay, there's a day in September where they count the number of students that are in the school. Follow me?
Yep.
That's how they do the classifications, 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A. Okay, they take the roll that day, and that's how many students you have. Okay? Now, so each student that comes into these schools gets roughly that amount of money. Now, where does this money come from?
Taxes.
Okay, what kind of taxes? The biggest funder of schools is property taxes. Okay, property taxes are local. Okay, so you'll get the Sedgwick County will appraise your property and then tax you on your property. So the more your property's worth, the more you pay in property taxes. You follow me? Okay? Which means the suburbs, which tend to have bigger houses and higher property taxes, can afford to build nice things at their schools. You follow me?
Gotcha.
When you move into the city, property taxes tend to be lower because of the concentration of poor people in the city. And because you don't want to raise taxes on the poor. You follow me? So the poor areas, the urban areas, tend to have less money. So this is where the state comes in. The state comes in and gives money to those inner city schools, okay, to help bring them up to equal. All right? And then the federal government sends money as well for things like free and reduced lunches and special ed programs and stuff like that. Okay? So this is a combination of different taxes going towards education. Okay? But the vast majority of it comes here. So when we turfed the football fields in the City League and built the new gymnasiums at South and Heights and North, right? That was a property tax increase of $380 million that went to a vote, Sedgwick County voters, and it passed 51 to 49%. Okay, they asked the schools, the public schools in the city, what is your greatest need besides classroom sizes? And the number one need was athletic facilities. They had deteriorated over the decades. You know what I mean?
The old gym and
Yeah, the old gym in North is, I mean, it's a cool gym, yeah, but it's a hot gym. I remember freshman volleyball in North High, old gym. Sweltering.
City League wrestling.
Now, so we made the decision to raise taxes to do that. We turfed all the fields, okay? And built the gyms and tracks and stuff like that, and softball and baseball fields. They rebuilt some of those, okay, because they were non-existent or horrible. And they're existent now, but horrible because nobody takes care of them. Okay. Now, how much does it cost to pay full tuition at Bishop Carroll High School?
$23,000.
That's not wrong.
Well, is that including the church?
That if you are not Catholic and you're not a member of a parish, you want to come to school here. So if you're a foreign exchange student, that's what you pay. That's why Tish likes foreign exchange students, because they bring 10 grand with them. Okay? Right? Okay, now, nothing against foreign exchange students. That's great. I wish we could get some Dominicans up here that threw 90 miles an hour. Okay? Great. They're Catholic down there, aren't they? Let's go. Life Prep's doing it. I mean, they say we recruit. We might as well. Because we're not. Okay. Did get that dude from Trinity. Yeah.
Oh, Walt Gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it.
He's
He's a
really huge dude at the.
He's a junior.
he's a junior.
Is he pretty good?
7 foot tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He runs just about as fast as
He's fast. And he's big. He doesn't play baseball.
basketball and football.
Yeah, well, we'll see what he's doing in the spring. Anyhow. All right, so what are we talking about? Okay, so this is how much it costs. Now, Trinity Academy out east, the Christian school, I think is about 12. Okay, collegiate is more than that, right? Does anybody know how much collegiate tuition is? It's pretty expensive.
Enough to have a commercial on the radio.
What?
I think they have a commercial on the radio.
Yeah, recruiting students.
It's
Their
hilarious.
sign says they're the best private school in this town.
They might be. I mean,
Isn't the high school right next to the?
so they have like, most of their teachers have master's degrees, doctorates, stuff like that. You know what I mean? They don't follow the same rules as state.
Wait, do their teachers get paid more?
I don't know.
Because since they're private school, it'd be weird, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
With paid
we don't
teachers.
get paid more,
I know you do.
right?
Wait, so.
Okay, yeah, let's get to that. All right, now,
I don't know.
all right, public schools, right? We like to make fun of them because we're private school, but in reality, guys, there's good public schools and then there's not so good public schools. Here's the reality, all right? The number one determinant of how successful a student will be is the socioeconomic status of their family. If you look at how students do, that is the biggest factor, okay? So if you go to a school that socioeconomically is very deflated, very poor, the student achievement there will follow suit. If you are born into a two-parent household in which both parents have college degrees, your chances of success in life go way up the chain, way up the ladder. Now, not everybody's born into that situation, and here's the thing. Children don't get to choose who their parents are. Okay, so as a society, we provide free education, K through 12, to try and give everybody an opportunity to have success in life. And education is the best way out of a difficult situation, would you say? That and hard work, right? But hard work in education can help you get there. Okay, so you want to provide a school environment that is conducive to learning and success. That's what you want to produce. How are we doing with that in the United States with our public schools? There are really good public schools, and then there are poor, right? So like Andover school system, pretty good school system. Look at their ACT scores. Okay, pretty good school system. Goddard school system, pretty good school system. Mays, okay, 259 suffers. Yes, they struggle. Okay, so what school choice is a way to get children out of poor performing schools and into better environments. Okay, right now you're stuck in the zip code that you live in. Okay, so if you live in the South High School District, that's where you go to school. Now, you guys might know better than me. I don't know. What would you say of the public high schools in 259? Which one's the worst?
South looks like a prison.
West is getting better though.
Oh, yeah.
South looks like a prison.
South.
I'm going to go with South.
It has a prison tower.
That's Southeast.
No, that's
No, that's south.
Oh, South.
South is the one in the middle of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right off of-
And it has a prison tower.
32.
It is a literal prison
Okay,
tower.
yeah, I agree with this.
Okay, South. All right, now listen. So you live in the South High School District. They say that's where you go to high school. Okay. Well, under a voucher system, you would be given a voucher for this much money, and you would be able to take it to a different school of your choosing, public or private. Now,
Yes.
this is how they do it in Florida, okay? If the school is underperforming, the students are not proficient. Now, you're not going to have high proficiency in schools, period, right now, okay? But if they're below a certain level, they go on probation. And if they do not show adequate improvement over the next 2 years, they will shut down that school and give every student in that school a voucher to go to a different school. So it's not a universal. Now, this will not cover the tuition at collegiate. So if you want to go there, you're going to have to come up with another $7,000. Okay. Will this cover the tuition at Carroll?
Yes.
Now, let me ask you a question. Would you be willing to take 200 students from South High into Bishop Carroll?
Do they have like requirements to get into Carroll?
Not anymore. When I first started you here, you had to pass a test to get in here. That's changed. Yeah, that's placement test to figure out whether you're going to be in honors or not.
No, not like to get in the seats. Like you take tests in kindergarten.
Oh, I don't know.
Kindergarten.
No way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only because that's okay.
Would you be okay with taking 200 kids from South High? Yeah.
So does it matter like your educational like background? Like if you're not a well-performing student, like you can still get like a voucher to go to. I mean.
Would that change the culture?
Yeah.
Now they still have to go to mass, still have to go do 4 years of religious classes. Follow all the, because it's their choice to come here, so they know that they have to do these things. Okay. Now, what does God tell us to do? Those words are in the Bible.
I think that was
Hey, you get 200 heathens in here. What better way to evangelize?
I'd be okay if the heathens ran a 10-4.
Now, that brings up a good point, because what you may see happen, let's say, think of somebody everybody knows. Angelina Jolie. Does everybody know who that is?
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie decides to quit acting, and she's going to give back. She's going to become a theater teacher at Northwest High School. Okay? Angelina's teaching over there at Northwest. Okay? And you're really into acting and performance and stuff like that. You're like, dude, school voucher, I'm going to Northwest. Okay? Let's say Barry Sanders comes in and he said, I'm going to coach football at Bishop Carroll High School. And I'm going to bring some of my NFL former buddies with me to coach football at Bishop Carroll. Sanders. Did I say Bernie Sanders?
No, you said
Yeah.
Barry. You said Barry.
Barry Sanders. Oh, okay.
That's all right.
He's a great running back. From North High?
I thought he was from South.
North High.
It's one of the cardinal directions.
He's one of the best running backs ever. And you know what a running back is? They're the ones who carry the football. They hand it off to this guy, and he goes score. Yeah. Okay. All right, we're learning something. All right, now, so you could have kids going like for those reasons. Okay. Now we do that in college. Like I really want to play at this college because of its success. Some people don't think competition belongs in elementary and secondary school. Competition is for students because the more students you attract to your school, the more of these you get. So you want to provide the best education possible so you can get more vouchers. Now, let's say we do the South High, we do what Florida does. South High put on probation, they continue to fail, they shut it down. So those 1,200 students are going to go somewhere else. Some might go to West, some might go to Northwest, some might go to Andover, some may go to Goddard, some may come here. But not, they could close the school down or just give everybody vouchers, and some will stay, some will leave. Let's say 600 of the 1,200 students leave South High. What's going to happen at South High? To the teachers at South High. You got half the students. You're going to have to lay some teachers off, right? Now, if you were allowed to do this, you can't because of teacher unions. But if you were allowed to do this, who would you fire? Who would you lay off? The worst teachers. Right there, South High just got better. Because you kept all your good teachers, and they have some good teachers down there. I know them. One used to teach here. Mrs. Vogel used to teach English here. She's a great teacher. She's at South High. She needed more money. That's what you got to do. Okay? So your school, South High's already improved. Just by virtue of getting rid of the bad teachers. And there are bad teachers. It's hard to do. Now,
Because unions now are not what they.
you could choose to not negotiate with the union. Which means you would not have a contract with the union. So 259 has contract with the union. Okay, now listen. Guys, in Cleveland, Ohio, in Milwaukee, they tried this with inner city youth. Okay, where you really need to start this is at the elementary level. Okay, when you put the kid in, so what you're doing, let's say you're coming to a private Catholic school, you're bringing this money, okay? You guys know the First Amendment, we talked about the Establishment Clause. This is public money going to a religious institution, okay? Some people think that shouldn't happen. Well, wait a second. Where does the money originate? With the taxpayer. The voucher is given to the parent. Parent is giving it to the school, to the religious institution. This went to the Supreme Court, okay? And the Supreme Court said, as long as the parent is giving the voucher, it doesn't violate the Establishment Clause, separation of church and state. So this does pass constitutional muster. Yeah.
Say you do get that $13,000 voucher.
Yeah.
If you go to a place like Carroll where the tuition is a lot cheaper, do you get to keep all the extra?
Carroll gets the 13 times 200. What's 13 times 200?
More than that, 2.6.
2.6 million. Now, you got to pay for the stupid HVAC thing, right?
Only two.
And then once we're done with the stupid HVAC thing, what's the next big thing we really need at the school?
A new football field.
A natatorium.
We need a new auditorium,
No.
okay?
Natatorium.
Now,
I'm not gonna go that way.
you guys know, if we went to universal vouchers, where everybody in the state of Kansas gets $13,000 and they take it anywhere they want, universal. Well, we'd have to raise taxes. Big time. Do you know how much money you guys save, your family save the state of Kansas each year?
Probably a lot.
Think of, we have 1,100 students here plus, okay? Times $13,000 that we're not using this year. Then you got all the feeder schools. You got collegiate, you got independent school, you got Trinity Academy. And then up in Kansas City, all the private schools up there. St. Thomas More, the one out in Hayes. You got them all over the state. Tens of thousands of private school students that do not use this. You know, we save the state a lot of money. A little appreciation might be nice. I mean, instead of always picking on the private schools, you know? If we all said, all right, don't act like that, we all show up at a public school, first day, they're gonna freak out, man, okay? Listen, I like the way Florida does this because it's really trying to help those that are suffering in poor schools, you know what I mean? In bad, underperforming schools. Now, knowing what we know, the biggest reason for that is the socioeconomic status of the student, okay? So if you can intermingle them and spread them out, then I think the better chances of success for those kids. And if we look at our society right now, we talked about prayer in school and just, you know, the suffering, the people that live in poverty, the cycle of poverty in this country. The best way to help people get out of that is a good education. Okay, so I'm a big advocate of this personally. Now, my buddy Tom O'Connor, that teaches at Northwest now, used to teach here. I'm like, Tom, what do you think about these vouchers? He goes, no. I don't like this. I don't want these kids in my kid's class. I'm like, dude, come on. That's cool. Because I hear stories all the time from my public school teacher friends. Okay? Like I said, some of them are good. There's a lot of good teachers. Okay? There really is. There's no discipline. You understand? There's no discipline from home for a lot of these families. Education's just not important. I get it. Okay, so you know what it is. What do you think? Is this a good idea? Yeah. Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I feel like I've heard of you're able to appeal to get out of the school district you're in.
You might be able to do that.
I don't know if it's in Kansas, but.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
No, just like, so it could go either way, right? Could this be like a loophole? Like, kids going to Bishop Carroll right now. They leave Bishop Carroll, go to Northwest. Like, Northwest sucks. They're like, hey, I want to go back to Carroll. They get that 13 grand, right?
Maybe. I mean, you might be able to play the system like that. I think it'd be
But like
fun.
that's how that would work.
It could, yeah.
Well, that's a great way to think. That doesn't